10th best athlete in the 21st century is a guy I just talked about, Steph Curry. Steph Curry is the 10th best athlete of the 21st century, and here's why. So again, I'm going to read out the accomplishments of these individuals as I go one by one in this list. But Steph Curry on the NBA 75 greatest players team, 4-time champion, finals MVP in 2022, 10-time All-Star, 9-time All-NBA, All-Star Game MVP in 2022, 2-time scoring champion, and the career leader in three-pointers made. Listen, we hear all the time, he changed the game. I try to expand that to he changed the way the game is played, coached, and analyzed. Players play it differently. Coaches coach it differently. We view the game differently. We analyze the game differently. The impact on that cannot be understated or overstated. Steph, again, took an organization in Golden State. Yes, they added Bob Myers and Steve Kerr and Jerry West. The late, great Jerry West was a part of that Warriors front office for a time. But Steph was the foundational piece in an organization that was one of the jokes of the NBA for the better part of 3.5, 4 decades. He turns it into a champion within 6 years of joining. If it ends up turning them into one of the great dynasties by winning 4 titles, hopefully and counting, with the Golden State Warriors. Greatest shooter ever, no question about it. I think easily one of the 10 best players in the history of the NBA. Steph Curry, the 10th best athlete of the 21st century. At number 9, it is Tiger Woods. In my mind, the greatest golfer of all time. Tiger Woods, the 9th greatest athlete of the 21st century, and here's why. So, again, his accomplishments. 13 major wins, most of any player during that span. 11 major wins as the number 1 golfer, which is 9 more than any golfer all time. And this is maybe the craziest one to me. Tiger Woods was ranked the number 1 golfer in the world for 281 consecutive weeks. Like that's the kind of stuff that you're like, okay, so great we're debating who's second. That's where we're at with Mahomes right now in the NFL. That's where we're at with Steph Curry among shooters. That's where we're at with Gretzky in hockey. Again, Tiger Woods isn't the GOAT in golf the way Gretzky is in hockey, where it's just a ridiculous gap. But amongst his peers, love Phil Mickelson. It's kind of like Josh Allen. Love Josh Allen. He's not Mahomes. Love Phil Mickelson. Great clutch putter. He's not Tiger. And the thing that to me, Tiger would be higher on my list. I think ESPN had him at number 7. Tiger would be higher on my list, but one key criteria I put into this is longevity really matters to me. Being great late into your career matters to me. And the injuries with Tiger, not all were self-inflicted, but some of the off the course stuff, if you will, were self-inflicted and did hinder what could have been what was already a ridiculous streak of incredible golf. What could have gone even further into his career that ended up going. But Tiger Woods, his legend cannot be overstated. The 9th greatest athlete in the 21st century. At number 8, Kobe Bryant wrote a song about him. Lil Wayne wrote a song about him. Kobe Bryant, the 8th greatest athlete in the 21st century, and here's why. So Kobe was on the 75th all-time team in the NBA, Hall of Famer, 5-time NBA champion, 2-time Finals MVP, 2008 League MVP, 18-time All-Star, 15-time All-NBA selection, 12-team All-Defense, 4-time All-Star Game MVP. I personally think Kobe Bryant is on the Mount Rushmore of basketball. I have him as the 4th greatest player ever, behind LeBron, Jordan, and Kareem. Again, top 5 all-time in scoring. Was a guy who, prior to the Achilles tear, was still well into his 30s, arguably a top 5, inarguably a top 5 player in the NBA, wins 3 straight titles with Shaq. Last team to three-peat was the Lakers between 2000 and 2002. Shaq leaves, Kobe's a solo show, then he gets Powell, then he wins 2 more titles and goes to another finals in that span. You talk about sustained greatness, you talk about just a work ethic that defies logic. Tim Grover, who trained both Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant, said that Michael was a great hard worker in the sense that he would push himself as much as he possibly could in a smart way, in a way that's you're conscious of your body. Kobe did not. Like Tim Grover, there's a great book he wrote, Relentless. It's a fantastic book, highly recommend it. Where Tim Grover was talking about how he would literally have to say, Kobe, stop. You're actually hurting yourself, pushing yourself too hard. Again, the Mamba mentality, he will always live in the history of sports in terms of his legend, what he did on and off the floor. Kobe Bryant, the 8th greatest athlete in the 21st century. At number 7, it is Lionel Messi. Lionel Messi, the 7th greatest athlete in the 21st century. and here's why. So, his accomplishments are extensive, as all of these people are. 10-time La Liga champion, 7-time Copa del Rey winner, 4-time Champions League winner, 6-time Champions League top scorer, 17-time FIFA Pro World 11, World Cup winner, 2-time Copa America winner, 2-time FIFA World Cup Golden Ball winner, 8-time Ballon d'Or winner, record goal scorer for Barcelona and Argentina. Again, sustained greatness. There was a sense that when he lost in 2014 in the World Cup, that it was like, oh, that was Messi's last shot. The fact that he was able, at his advanced age of his career, to help Argentina get to the final in 2022, and not just get them to the final, score 2 goals in what was an insane World Cup final between Argentina and France that Argentina was able to win at the end on penalty kicks. This is a guy, again, sustained greatness. The accolades speak for themselves. The rivalry between him and Ronaldo has been extensive. I think it's fair to say, certainly with the World Cup title a couple of years ago, the debate between Ronaldo and Messi pretty much got solved for good. Doesn't diminish Ronaldo, but Messi is the greatest soccer player in the modern era. Pele would certainly have a great case before that. But Lionel Messi, the 7th greatest athlete in the 21st century. At number 6, let's go to tennis. It is Roger Federer. Roger Federer, the 6th greatest athlete in the 21st century, and here's why. 20-time major champion, 369 majors wins, 8 Wimbledon titles, which is the most by a male all-time, 103 tour singles titles, which is the second by a man in the Open era. Again, this goes into kind of what I'm saying with how I went into this sort of ranking list, what the criteria that I employed. Sustained longevity. This is a guy who didn't retire very long ago and was still winning Opens constantly. Again, the accomplishment says it for himself. Dominant, across the pond in Wimbledon. Was one of the greatest tennis players of all time. You could argue maybe the greatest male tennis player of all time. You could certainly make that case. Roger Federer, the 6th greatest athlete in the 21st century. At number 5, you can make a case, best or second best Olympian that we're going to be sending to Paris this week. It is Simone Biles. Simone Biles, the 5th greatest athlete in the 21st century, and here is why. So Simone Biles, 7-time Olympic medalist, tied for the most by an American gymnast. 4 Olympic gold medals, which in 2016 tied by the most by a female gymnast in a single Olympic Games. And this is an interesting stat that I find insane. It shows her dominance as the greatest gymnast of all time. Since winning her first national title back in 2013, Biles has gone undefeated in all-around competition in every meet she has competed in. In the words of the great LeVar Ball, what would LeVar say about Simone Biles?
I'm undefeated, never lost.
Never lost in any meet all time. She is, again, I'm not as educated on gymnastics as others will, but from what I've heard from others, my sister, who's a big-time Simone Biles and gymnastics fan, has talked about the fact that they literally name moves after Simone. Again, sustained greatness. Again, she's 27 years old, but that's actually, I didn't know this, pretty old for gymnasts. For her to be able to come back, we know what happened in Tokyo in 2020, or not Tokyo, or yeah, actually I think it was Tokyo in 2021. She was dealing with a lot of mental health stuff. She comes back stronger than ever, as great as ever, and is leading a very young Team USA gymnastics team, potentially to even more gold medals. Simone Biles. Mrs. Owens, it's the haters have called her the greatest gymnast of all time. Let's dub her that way, Jonathan Owens. The 5th greatest athlete in the history of the 21st century thus far. At number 4, just talked about him today on the show as well. It is the King, LeBron James. LeBron James, the 4th greatest athlete in the 21st century, and here is why. On the 75 all-time greatest players team, NBA's all-time leading scorer, 20-time All-Star, 19-time All-NBA selection, 6-time All-Defense, 4-time League MVP, 4-time Finals MVP, 4-time NBA champion, and 3 times he has been the All-Star Game MVP. This is a guy, when we talk about longevity, in modern American team sports history, only Tom Brady can say, yeah, I did that. I matched that level of sustained dominance. LeBron is the oldest player in the league. That's not hyperbole. He is literally the oldest player in the sport of basketball. And he's the best player in Team USA. Steph Curry's there, Kevin Durant's there, Anthony Edwards, and Anthony Davis, and Embiid, and Anthony Davis. He's the best player on the team. 39 years old. All-time leading scorer, just came off of a year 21. This is freakish. where he averaged 25, 8, and 7 and shot 50% from the field and a career-high 41% from three-point range. Keep in mind, LeBron went to 8 finals in a row, which has not been done since the Bill Russell Celtics, if they even ever did it back in the pre-merger era. Again, this is a guy who can do just about everything at an elite level. He's the jack of all trades. Can score at an elite level, can distribute at an elite level, can rebound at an elite level if he commits to it, can defend, not in the way he used to, but prime LeBron James, we remember, should have won a Defensive Player of the Year back in 2013. Again, there's certain dudes, there's certain athletes where you say their name and their greatness is almost self-explanatory. There's certain people in sports, out of sports, where you say one name and you know who they are. Oprah, LeBron, like that's, you get to that status, you are a legend. LeBron James, the 4th greatest athlete of the 21st century. At number 3, it is the greatest quarterback of all time, at least for the moment. Mahomes may have something to say about it soon. Thomas Edward Patrick Brady Jr. Tom Brady, the 3rd best athlete of the 21st century, and here's why. So I have said this for years on Carving It Up Live, that Tom Brady is the greatest athlete in the history of American team sports. It is that simple. Again, Gretzky played in Canada for a time, so I almost don't even count Gretzky. If we're talking strictly American athletes in, mostly American-dominated sports, Tom's the GOAT. Not just of quarterbacks, not just of NFL players, but of American team sports. The guy is pretty much unimpeachable. Okay, we talk about Tom's accomplishments. We'll go and read them off for you. 7-time Super Bowl champion. That's a record. 5-time Super Bowl MVP. That's a record. 3-time league MVP. 2-time NFL, 2-time Offensive Player of the Year. 15-time Pro Bowler. 3-time first-team All-Pro. And he's got the NFL record for passing yards and passing touchdowns. Again, talked about LeBron's longevity. Brady, at age, again, let's talk. We know what Tom has done over the course of his career. Let's talk about his 40s, though. Age 40. Wins MVP, gets the Patriots to the Super Bowl. Age 41, wins the Super Bowl. Age 42, for a bad Patriots roster, wins 12 games in the division. The next year, at age 43, in a pandemic year in Tampa, wins the whole gosh darn Super Bowl. Beats the Kansas City Chiefs in order to do so. The next year, age 44, almost won league MVP. Personally, I think he should have that season. And his last year, when he wasn't the Tom Brady of old, led the league in completions. So he was still maybe not elite, but midway through his 40s, as close to the age of 50 as 40. So probably a top 10 quarterback in the NFL. A guy is, again, has as unimpeachable of a record as you could possibly imagine. As great as LeBron's longevity is, and it is unheard of. Tom Brady is the only guy on planet Earth who could say, yep, I did that too. I was able to be still great at the very end of my career. Tom Brady, the 3rd greatest athlete in the 21st century. At number 2, it is Serena Williams. In my mind, the greatest female tennis player of all time. Serena, the 2nd greatest athlete in the 21st century, and here is why. By the way, did a great job hosting the ESPYs as well. Serena, 23-time major champion, which is 2nd most by any player all time. She's got the women's record, 365 major match wins, 73 career titles, are 5th most by a woman in the Open era. Again, longevity. Again, we talk about somebody who, at her peak, very Tiger-esque. If we're going to talk individual sports, very Tiger-esque, where at her peak, the debate was who's second. Yes, she had the rivalry with Maria Sharapova, and they went back and forth. They had their rivalry. Serena, more often than not, got the upper hand in those matchups. But to me, the greatest accomplishment of Serena Williams' career, I don't know, I think it was 2016 or early 2017? I can't remember which. The Australian Open. Serena Williams wins that title carrying a child, carrying her daughter. Okay, so we talk about Jordan's flu game. We talk about, again, basketball examples, Isaiah Thomas's bad ankle game. We've seen valiant efforts by injured athletes. Willis Reed in the history of American sports. There's injured, and then there's pregnant. Okay, so what Serena did in that Australian Open all those years ago, to me, was easily her crowning achievement. As dominant as she was, that to me was like, wow, that was insane. Serena Williams, 2nd greatest athlete in the history of the 21st century thus far through the first quarter of the 21st century. And that leaves number one, and my number one is the same as ESPN's number one. Put him up there. Michael Phelps, the human fish, if you will, is the greatest athlete thus far of the 21st century, and here's why. So he is, as far as I'm concerned, the greatest Olympic athlete ever. Look at his resume. He's got a record. He's a 28-time Olympic medalist. He's a 23-time Olympic gold medalist. He's got the most gold medals as well at a single Olympics when he won 8 at Beijing in 2008. Again, there's part of what makes Phelps so great is, listen, all these athletes have work ethics, certainly Phelps included, but when your body was, might as well have been designed by God himself. Like, Michael Phelps was put on this earth to swim. They've done studies on this, the way his feet are shaped, the way his arms, his wingspan, the whole bit. The guy was at his peak an athletic freak. Again, we talked about 8 gold medals in one of the most dominant Olympic runs we've ever seen at the Olympics in Beijing, China, back in 2008. Again, I cannot emphasize this enough. 28 gold medals. 28 medals, 23 of them gold. The guy was a surefire lock. He was going to take home some golds for Team USA. For every other sport, wet the bed. You knew Michael Phelps was not going to. He was going to dominate in every way, shape, or form. The guy was, as again, in my mind, the greatest athlete of the 21st century was Michael Phelps. Thanks so much for watching the show on YouTube, and be sure to go click that big red subscribe button and check out the other clips and full shows from Carving It Up Live, as well as our other incredible content creators here on the Grid Network.